Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel and another two-part restoration video, this time on a Volvo P1800. Right, so the client of the P1800 saw our Porsche restoration video on YouTube, liked what he saw, decided to give us a call, and we ran through the process that we do our restorations, so the pressure's on to make this a really good video. Right, so the car's come to us for its final stages of the metalwork process. It's already been blasted, put into an etch primer, it's had various new panels put in. We're now going to carry out the gapping stages of it because the panel gaps at the moment are all over the shop. The bonnet is going to be the most tricky area because I've got to cut out the front panel, move it back so we can get a consistent 5mm gap around it, but we're on quite a tight time scale because it's actually booked in to have its second blast in about 8 days time. So let's go do it! bonnet is where we've had a few issues with too much material on the panel. You'll see when we start pushing it in, you see the panel bouncing about, so we've got to go through and shrink all the bonnet so we can take out that material. The way we're doing that is using a blowtorch, then tapping it down with a hammer and cooling it down. This will then shrink the panel. We're then going to cut out the cross member underneath so we can run it through our air planishing hammer. This will then level it all off, and then we can lightly panel beat it back into place. So let's get started. So that's the car finished with us having the metal work done. There was a few areas that we addressed so we can have the ruler flat on the door to wing. We've panelled out those edges so you've got a real sort of laser straight panel fitment on it. It's now going to be picked up to have its second blast, and then we can put it into an epoxy primer. So we'll catch you at the blasters. Volvo's going up to be blasted for a second time because when it was originally blasted it was put into some sort of etch primer, which isn't what you want to put a bare metal shell into. While it's sitting around, all that moisture can get through the primer, get to the metal underneath and start causing rust issues. So it's going to be blasted. Now we've done all the metal work on it, it then gets put into an epoxy primer which is corrosion proof. It will then come back to us, we can get the car all reassembled so we can carry out the filler levelling. When carrying out filler levelling, you want to make sure you've got all your door catches, seals, everything in there so the panels all line up exactly how they're meant to line up. So then when you level off all those panels are laser straight. So let's get started. levelling now all complete on the Volvo. We've got it masked up, it's had a bake as well to draw out any of that moisture in there. We're going to go on first with a epoxy wet on wet primer. This will seal off any of the metal blow through areas that we've got, and then we'll go for 3 to 4 coats of polyester primer. Again, we're using all the Novel for classic car range on this, so let's get some polyester mixed up. Right, so that's the Volvo now all polyestered up. We've got it out the booth. It's all been guy coated as well, so that will be it for part 1 of the restoration. We're probably going to do this over 3 parts, I think. So we'll do prep and paint for the next video. It will go for another primer stage as well, and then the final video will be flat and polishing and reassembling some bits as well. But before we end this, we're going to give you some quick tips on getting to this stage. So tip 1, get yourself a pool so you don't have to do it yourself. So tip 2 is making sure that you've got a great metal work to go over and you've got all your panel gaps dialed in metal finish at a consistent 5mm panel gap. You want all your panels to line up nicely, so you don't want to be filling over big dents, you just want to be levelling off those panels. And tip 3 will be to have all your panels fitted on as they would be once the car's done. You want all your seals in there, catches, especially on old classic cars, new seals and everything. You do find if you did it all without them fitted, once the car's all painted, fitted, you put the car back together, you go to shut the door bounces back out, or it pushes that panel out of alignment. So make sure you've got all your seals in place, all your catches lined up as if the car was done. So tip 4 is tape. You want to be using this for all your panel lines when you're blocking through your filler, so you can get those panel lines nice and sharp and crisp. So you'll say block up to this edge here, remove the tape, put it the opposite way around and then block up that side. That way you get all your swage and panel lines nice and crisp. And your final tip is having a variety of sanding blocks. You want them ranging in size, so we've got Big Mama over here, as well as some flexible blocks, and then the smaller ones, we've got all these different concave shaped ones, so they're great for sort of a mix match of panel shapes, especially that we've got on this Volvo here, and a few that we've made in-house just to help, again, getting in those awkward little areas. If you haven't got a block that fits the area you're trying to do, find something, make it. You can make it out of wood, plastic, anything like that. It makes the job a hell of a lot easier. Right, and that's it for this video now. So I hope you enjoyed the first stages of the Volvo restoration. The next video will be prepping the polyester for its final prime, going through final prime, and then prep and paint. So we'll see you in the next one. The final, I'm rambling. Right. Right.
The one is going to be the most tricky.
Actual restoration process, I think that's just shit. Right.
I'm getting paid, so yeah.
I'm booking it in with us and it being it says that process. Right, this one.
What we do.
Right, so the client of this
Speak.
Oh.
primer, so we're no. It's always worth then getting no. The primer.